need your quick attention with a few important security and safety considerations before the service begins. In the event of an emergency evacuation, there are 4 exits from the sanctuary. Look in all directions to locate the emergency exit closest to your seat. Through the doors to your left at the front of the sanctuary, that's over here. This leads up a few stairs and to an emergency exit on Mount Vernon Street. The second is through the door in the center of the sanctuary on your left to exit directly onto Mount Vernon Street, over there. Also, through the door you likely entered on your right, which leads you back to the Green Street doors or through the Foreman family courtyard and then out to Green Street. And at the rear of the sanctuary, in the original Thalheimer lobby, use the center emergency exit doors directly onto Broad Street. If someone is experiencing a heart event, there are 2 automated external defibrillators, or AEDs. These are located at the security desk in the main Levitt Gershman lobby and on your left and forward near the Mount Vernon Street exit. For your safety and peace of mind, the far left section of the sanctuary, that's over here, closest to Mount Vernon Street, is for those who choose to wear and sit among other mask wearers. For any accommodations, large print prayer books, assistive hearing devices, a quiet room, and more, please check in at the respectability table in the lobby. Thank you for your attention. Lashana Tova, best wishes for a healthy and for a fulfilling new year. The service will begin in a few minutes.
But a goodie.
Lishana tova tikatevu, Lishana tova tikatevu, 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 Lishana tova, tikatevu, Lishana tova, tikatevu, 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 Lishana tova, tikatevu, Lishana tova, tikatevu. A happy new year to you. Happy
It's already off to a good, sweet year. L'Shana Tova. On behalf of Cantor Hyman, Rabbi Friedman, our president, Hank Bernstein, our rabbis emeriti, Rabbi Fuchs and Rabbi Kuhn, who will join us later these holidays, on behalf of all the staff and all of the leadership, welcome to you who are in the sanctuary and to you who are online. It is so good to be together to start this new year. We are so pleased to be joined on the bima by additional leaders by Cassidy Layton and Chip Ellis. And our heartfelt thanks goes to our staff for preparing these services, to our lay leadership for their partnership, and to our musical team, to our new organist, Andrew Moneth, our accompanist, A.J. Luca, our octet, sponsored by the Roberta Lee and D. Arthur Magaziner Memorial Music Fund, our orchestra, Amiki Noor, and our congregational choir, Makela. All of them lift us in prayer. I recently heard a story from an Israeli rabbinic colleague, a Reform rabbi in Israel, who has been attending a daily minyan, a daily morning service on Zoom since the heart of the pandemic. And as she continues to attend every day, pretty much no matter where she is, because it's on Zoom, one day she was tuning in from the city bus in Jerusalem, the Eged bus. It's really just like the SEPTA in most ways. And that day, they did not have quite enough people tuned in to make a minyan. They happened to have someone present who was saying the mourner's Kaddish and for whom it was important to have a minyan present. And so this rabbi looked around the bus and just sort of invited everybody to participate with her on her screen. And sure enough, the people on the bus participated in the service and said amen at the mourner's Kaddish. Maybe it's not exactly like SEPTA, but you can imagine, right, that image. Our capacity for connection is boundless. How grateful I am for the technology that has been connecting us, and now for the opportunity to also be in person. Let's be sure to be among community. Please take this moment to introduce yourself in the comments online or to turn around in the sanctuary and find someone new to greet. We welcome Reed Bodek to kindle our Yom Tov lights, page 11.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner lehadlik ner shel yom tov.
We continue with our Kiddush on page 79.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'am v'romemanu mikol lashon v'kiddeshanu b'mitzvotav v'titen lanu Adonai Eloheinu be'ahava et yom hazikaron hazeh yom teroah mikra kodesh zecher letziat Mitzrayim kivanu vanu bacharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim u'devarecha emet ve'kayam ala'ad Baruch atah Adonai melech al kol haaretz mekadesh Yisrael v'yom hazikaron Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam sheheyanu v'kiyemanu v'higiyanu lazeman hazeh.
Turning to page 17, please rise.
The role of the chazan or cantor has evolved over the many years since first being moved to serve the Jewish communities. Like most things, the role arose out of a practical need. When there were few or no printed prayer books, it was the responsibility of the Shaliach Tzibor the emissary to the community, to pray with and on behalf of the assembled. This has been enhanced, reflecting our desire to make all things ritually beautiful through the concept of chidur mitzvah and by beautifying the mitzvah of our prayers through aesthetically pleasing melodies and ornamentations. Perhaps they will be heard and appreciated by the divine. However, Jewish ritual practice is very clear in our rejection of prayer via proxy. We are expected to personally recite the daily blessings, and yet there are still traditions that continue even when there are multiple copies of a prayer book and technological innovations that allow us to come together in person and online from every part of our world. Once again, this Rosh Hashanah evening, I will state that even though I am apprehensive and unworthy, that I humbly ask for our collective prayers to be heard and answered, that in the name of all of our ancestors, our names should be recognized among them, and that in spite of my own failings, and in spite of any wrongdoings of our community, our prayers should be raised up with all of the others in the world. We are collectively guilty and collectively innocent. And in this one moment, as a still small voice, I pray for all, both sinner and righteous, that it is God who hearkens to our prayer.
הנני העני ממעש, נרעש ונפחד מפחד, יושב תהילות ישראל, באתי לעמוד ולהתרנן לפניך, על עמך ישראל, אשר שלחוני. נפל פי שאיני חדי והגון לכך, על כן אבקש ממך, אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק, אלוהי יעקב. אדוני, אדוני, אלוהי רחום וחנון, אלוהי ישראל. שדי היום ונורא, אינה מצליח דרכי, אשר אני הולך לעמוד ולבקש רחמים עליי ועל שולחי ונע. אל תפשעי בחטאותיי ואל תכוון בעוונותיי, כי חוטא ופושע אני, ואל יפולמו בשבעי, ולבושה בהם, ולבוש בהם. וקבל תפילתי, כי תפילת זקן ורגיל, ופרקו נאה, וזקנו מגודל, וקולו נעים, ומורה ודעת עם הבריות, ותגער בשטן, לבד יסתינני, והנה על דגלנו עליך אהבה, יחסה ואהבה, וכל צרות ורעות הפכנה לנו, ולכל ישראל לששון ולשמחה, לחיים ולשלום, אמת והשלום אהבו ולא אישו מכשול בתפילתי, ויהי רצון מלפניך אדוני אלוהי אברהם יצחק ויעקב, האל הגדול הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון אהיה אשר אהיה, של כל מלאכים שמלאכי תפילות יביאו תפילתי לפני כיסא כבודך, ויציגו אתה לפניך בעבור כל צדיקים והחסידים התמימים והישרים, ובעבור כבוד שמך הגדול והנורא, כי אתה שומע תפילות עמך ישראל ברחמים, ברוך אתה שומע תפילה.
Adonai, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, God of Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah, great, mighty, awe-inspiring, God Most High, who said to Moses, I will be what I will be.
May it be your will that my prayer reach your presence for the sake of the righteous and blameless, the honest and pure of heart, for the sake of your glory. You hear your people's prayer with compassion. Blessed are you, the one who hears prayer.
Continue on the middle of page 6. Please be seated.
We return, we return, we return, return again. We return, we return, we return.
Page 19. Our God and God of our ancestors, may we know your blessings in the year 5783. Eternal One, bless us and the whole house of Israel with renewed life, happiness and peace, comfort and courage, resilience and strength. May the words of our heart be acceptable to you in the new year that stretches before us. We are forever grateful for the gift of life. Page 20, please rise. Page 23, together. Bless Adonai, who spins day into dusk. With wisdom watch the dawn gates open. With understanding let time and season come and go. With awe perceive the stars in lawful orbit. Morning dawns, evening darkens, darkness and light yielding one to the other, yet each distinguished and unique. Marvel at life, strive to know its ways, seek wisdom and truth, the gateways to life's mysteries, wondrous indeed in the evening twilight. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. And together on page 24, love beyond all space and time, your love enfolds your people Yisrael. We received it in your teaching, your gift of Torah, sacred obligations, discipline, and law. So let us speak these teachings when we lie down and rise up, and find joy forever in your Torah and mitzvot. They are the very essence of our life, ours to ponder and study all our days. May we never lose or be unworthy of your love. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael, page 26.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto
Page 28, please be seated. At the middle of the page together, you shall love Adonai your God with all your mind, with all your soul, and with all your strength. Set these words which I command you this day upon your heart. Teach them faithfully to your children. Speak of them in your home and on your way, when you lie down and when you rise up. Bind them as a sign upon your hand. Let them be a symbol before your eyes. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates, page 30. Be mindful of all my mitzvot and do them. Thus you will become holy to your God. I, Adonai, am your God, who brought you out of Egypt to be your God. I, Adonai, your God. Page 33 at the bottom. You have stayed long enough in this place, God said. Time to go forward. Turn your face to the future. Believe that you can cross this sea and survive. Inside you is a Moses. Within you, Miriam dances unafraid. Lift up your voice and sing a new song. Page 34.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אליהם, מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע ים לפני משה, זה אלינו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד.
Page 42. Please rise.
אדוני שפתי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotzeinu ve'imotzeinu, Elohei Avraham Sarah, Elohei Yitzchak ve'Elohei Rivka, ve'Elohei Yaakov ve'Rachel ve'Leah, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומר חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. זוכרנו לחיים, מלך חפץ בחיים, וחותמנו בספר החיים, למענך אלוהים חיים. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, רב להושיע, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סוף
Please be seated. Page 57. The bottom of the page. Together. This is the prayer God utters. May my mercy conquer my anger. In all my actions toward my children, may my compassion prevail. And this is the prayer I say. Compassionate One, rule over me today and always. Let mercy and forgiveness hold sway. Let the good within me prevail. Page 67. Join together in our blessing for peace. Great is peace, for all blessings flow from peace. Great is peace, for without peace no blessing is complete. Great is peace, for even in times of war, the hope for peace is undiminished. Great is peace, for peace is granted to those who repent. Great is peace, for peace is the inheritance of the righteous. Great is peace, for peace is granted to those who love and study the Torah. Great is peace, for peace is granted to the humble. Great is peace, for peace is granted to those who do justice. Great is peace, for God's name is peace. Great is peace, for peace is equal in weight to all the works of creation. Great is peace, for even heaven needs peace. Behold, if peace is needed in heaven, where neither hatred nor strife is found, how great the need for peace on earth, where hatred and strife abound. Baruch atah Adonai, oseh hashalom. We take moments now for silent prayer.
Ratzon, hiyu leratzon imrefi, ve'egyon libi lefanecha. Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri,
In a moment, we will be on page 245 for a blessing for healing. Years ago, I heard a teaching from Rabbi Adin Steinsaltz that has stuck with me. He asked, why does the Ve'ahavta, that prayer we recited a few minutes ago, say, place these words of Torah upon your heart? Why upon rather than place the words of Torah within your heart? Because, he explains, this way, when our hearts crack open, the words of Torah will slide right in. When we most need Torah, its words will be there to guide us, to comfort us, to heal us. We all face heartbreak, so all of us at some point can be healed by those words of Torah. If you are facing fracture, dislocation in body, in relationship, in home, in work, in purpose, if you or someone you love has been touched by serious illness or brokenness, mind, body, or spirit, please add that name to the comments online or speak it aloud now. We continue with our prayer for healing. Please rise. Avinu Malkeinu, sustain our souls. Send rain to our roots. Help us find a way to pray. Make us humble and forgiving of ourselves and one another. Avinu Malkeinu, renew these words. Help us speak them with conviction and believe their truth.
100 generations have stood before the ark, and they lifted up their voices like flame on the altar. They put their trust in kindness and justice and they gave their strength to make the promise real. Avinu Malkeinu, we haven't forgotten. Avinu Malkeinu, bring us back to you. Page 77.
Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Koleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chatanu lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, Chamol aleinu, ve'alol aleinu, v'tapeinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Chotveinu b'sefer Chaim Tovim. Avinu Malkeinu, Chodesh Aleinu, Chodesh Aleinu, Shana Tova. Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Koleinu, Shema Koleinu, Shema Koleinu.
Please be seated. Good Yantif, Shana Tova. My children love to play pretend. You can ask Josephine. Nora, my younger daughter, has a stuffed fox. I brought a prop named Foxy, of course. I'll share, this isn't the actual Foxy, so don't worry. She's got Foxy in bed. This is backup Foxy that I keep in. For every parent, it's a really good thing. Get a backup just in case. Thank you to my in-laws who scoured over the internet to find backup Foxy. All right, there we go. Foxy's going to stay right there. The other day, Nora said, today is Foxy's birthday. I'll let you in a little secret. It's actually Foxy's birthday every day. So there we were, making a birthday cake out of wooden blocks for Foxy's birthday. And I took my piece and went to take a big bite. And Nora says, stop. You can't eat that. It's not real. As children and as adults, we play pretend. We make believe. And to a certain degree, we immerse ourselves in the fiction. Even though, at the end of the day, we know it's not real. We know we can't actually eat the wooden block cake, but we suspend disbelief for just a moment, and suddenly that wooden block is a piece of cake. Well, in addition to Foxy's birthday, Today is the birthday of the world. On Rosh Hashanah, we recite the piyut, the medieval poem Hayom Harat Olam, which declares today is the birthday of the world. This is the day of the world's birth. This day, all creatures stand before you. Tomorrow morning, we will suspend disbelief for a moment and pretend that God did create the world 5,783 years ago, and that we stand in judgment before that omnipotent creator. Today is the birthday of the world, but it isn't really. From the sages of the Talmud to the medieval commentator Maimonides, Jews have not taken the creation story as literal history. And yet, we reread these stories every year. We recite the narratives that they might become our own. We pass them on through the generations. Philosopher Rebecca Neuberger Goldstein writes in a commentary in the New American Haggadah, stories are easily dismissible as distractions, the make-believe we craved as children. But tonight, we are asked to take this faculty of mind, so beloved by children and novelists, extremely seriously. All the adults who have outgrown story time are to be tutored tonight with the physical props meant to quicken our pretending and the ways of children to guide us. Like the Passover Seder, tonight and throughout this High Holy Day season, we are all asked to use our imaginations and play a little bit of make-believe. According to the 2020 Pew Research Center study of Jewish Americans, 40% of Jewish Americans describe themselves as atheist or agnostic, with their affiliation to Judaism focusing on cultural or ethical ties rather than a belief in God. And that number is even higher among Reform Jews. And yet, all of us are here to immerse ourselves in the narrative that God created the heavens and the earth, to imagine ourselves standing before God in judgment. Are we really being judged by God? Did God really create this world? Is it real? Is it fake? Maybe that binary is not the most helpful way of looking at these ideas. Jennifer Powell, a librarian in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, recently shared on social media, "I have made it my mission to unteach children that fiction is fake. Here are the new definitions I started teaching today. Nonfiction equals learning through information. Fiction equals learning through imagination." So then, the question becomes less about what is real or fake, and more of what can we learn from our imagination, from pretending? How can we be inspired by playing make-believe this year? How can we be moved by imagining that Hayom Harat Olam, this is the day of the world's birth, this day all creatures stand before you? As a former parent in our Berger Early Learning Center, I loved receiving articles and resources from our center director, Leah Brigham, and our director of Judaic content, Andy Miller. One article was about the benefits of make-believe for our children and noted 3 ways pretend play nurtures a child's development. The article said that first, it helps them to work out confusing and scary life situations. Have you ever witnessed children playing pretend at the doctor's? One child dutifully holds the mock stethoscope as the others line up for their checkup. Inevitably, someone's going to get a shot. This is a child's way of exploring an experience that is common but sometimes confusing or scary. The second way play helps nourish our children is it helps them to imagine what does not yet exist. Think about the kid who creates the Shrinkinator out of blocks. Maybe one day, because of that imagination, that child will become an engineer who actually works on currently non-existent microcomputing technology. And the third way the article says is that it helps them cultivate social intelligence. Pretend play requires communication and social skills. Through pretend play, children learn to read social cues, to take turns, and ultimately to create community. These concepts, though, are not limited just to children. As adults, we too can gain insight from playing make-believe. This has been proven scientifically. Our brains are the most wondrous organs that we are still just beginning to fully understand. Our imaginations can have profound real-world effects on our lives. Have you ever heard of phantom limb syndrome? Some folks, yeah. It's a condition which patients experience sensations, often extremely painful, in a limb that does not actually exist. It's very common in amputees and is typically a chronic condition, often very resistant to treatment. In one type of phantom limb syndrome, a patient's phantom hand is clenched so tightly that the phantom fingers and the phantom fingernails inflict unbearable pain on the phantom palm. Many of these patients can't escape the pain because their phantom fists are paralyzed in this eye-watering clench. Although the phantom hand is not really there, the pain is very much real. A brilliant researcher, Dr. V.S. Ramachandran, recently discovered a surprisingly low-tech solution. He had his patients put their remaining hand, the non-phantom hand, into a box, tightly clenched, mimicking the position that they felt their phantom hand to be in. Inside the box was a mirror. When the patient looked down, they didn't merely see their actual hand, they saw its reflection as well, which looked just like the phantom hand. Then, by slowly opening the real hand, they could make it look as if their phantom hand was also opening. And sure enough, this deceived the brain into thinking the phantom hand had opened. This relieved the pain. These patients knew they only had one hand. They knew the box contained a mirror. But the illusion, even though they knew it was an illusion, was just what the brain needed to behave appropriately in the real world. We know it's not really the birthday of the world. We know we aren't really standing before God in judgment. And if we imagine, if we pretend, this might be just what our minds need to help us make change in this real world. Pretend play can help us just as it helps our children. It helps us to work out difficult life events. It helps us to imagine a future that does not yet exist. And it helps us to create community. So let's pretend. Hayom Harat Olam. This is the day of the world's birth. This day, all creatures stand before you. Comedian W. Kamau Bell tells the story of his daughter's favorite TV show, Doc McStuffins. It's a favorite in our house as well. For those that aren't familiar, it's an animated show about a 6-year-old girl who's a doctor for her stuffed animals and toys. In the show, Doc's mom, a black woman, is a real doctor who treats people. The show also has some amazing non-animated segments, these interludes with black women who talk about their paths into medicine. One great aspect of the show is that it prepares children for the doctor. It makes them less scared. Through these types of role plays, researchers say children become more comfortable and prepared for life events in a safe way. We actually have Doc's magical stethoscope at our house, and my kids love to play with it. And W. Kamau Bell talks about when it was time for his daughter to go to the doctor for the first time. Not only wasn't she scared, but she was excited. Pretending helps us to prepare for difficult and challenging situations. It helps us work out those confusing, scary issues in our lives. For kids, this might be going to the doctor for the first time. For adults, it may be the existential dread of our own mortality. Hayom Harat Olam. This is the day of the world's birth. This day, all creatures stand before you. We stand before God in judgment. Tomorrow, we will hear the haunting melody of Unatana Tokef, which asks us to consider our lives. Who will live and who will die? Who by fire and who by water? Why read such difficult, scary liturgy? In his commentary on this prayer, Rabbi Ed Feinstein writes, "Who will live and who will die? Who by fire, who by water? I sat in shul for years reading these words before I realized the answer. The answer to each of these questions is me. Who will live and who will die? I will. Who in their time and who before their time? Me. Like every human being, when I die, it will be at the right time, and it will also be too soon. All year long, we might pretend that we are in control, but the holiday skillfully strips us of all that. Unatana Tokef asks us to stop pretending that we are in control and instead to seriously pretend that we might die this year. Our tradition offers us props like fasting or wearing a kittel, a white shroud, to help us play dead. Morbid, perhaps, but kids do this all the time. They casually pretend, I'm dead. It can be jarring at first to adults, but experts say this is developmentally appropriate. In their play, children inherently understand something that we as adults often miss. We can't ignore the difficult parts of life. By normalizing death, by pretending and really immersing ourselves in the imagery, we can better prepare for the inevitable. When we use play and make-believe to face those situations in life, we then realize what is most important, and God willing, live richer, more fulfilling lives. Doc McStuffins really is one of the best shows on TV. Not just children's shows, but like best show, period. It's groundbreaking because it offers role models of black women in medicine. Young people, and actually all of us, need images, visions of what does not yet exist in order that we might strive for it. Mae Jennings, the first black woman to go to space, was inspired by the late Nichelle Nichols, who played Lieutenant Uhuru on Star Trek. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King was actually a Trekkie and famously once met Nichelle Nichols. At the time, Nichols was thinking about quitting the show. When King heard this, he told her she absolutely should not. He told her that Star Trek was the only show that he would allow his children to watch. He told her that she was crucial to the civil rights movement. King said, quote, "For the first time on television, we will be seen as we should be seen every day, as intelligent, quality, beautiful people who can sing, dance, and go to space." Comedian W. Kamau Bell notes that after watching Doc McStuffins, his daughter's image of what a doctor looks like was, of course, a black woman. One day, when he took his daughter to the doctor's office, the doctor walked in and it was a white man. His daughter then said to him, "Dad, that's not a doctor. Doctors are black women. Frankly, Dad, I'm not even sure if white men are ready to be doctors." Star Trek and Doc McStuffins imagine a better version of this world. During these high holy days, we are presented with that same vision, a better vision of ourselves, a better vision of our city, a better vision of our world. Hayom Harat Olam. This is the day of the world's birth. This day, all creatures stand before you. Imagine a world where we all stand equally and equitably before God by pretending and immersing ourselves in worlds like Doc McStuffin and Star Trek, which are sadly still all too make-believe. We change perceptions and we change realities. We need to see those visions of hope, those visions of the future, to be able to dream and to be able to make those dreams a reality. In a recent interview on the theme of imagination, Jewish parenting expert and author Dr. Wendy Mogul talks about a research study where audience members were monitored with sensors while watching a production of Dreamgirls. She says, what they discovered is relatively shortly, their heartbeats were synchronized. Emil Durkheim coined the term collective effervescence, that as a species we are designed to respond to each other's vibrating mirror neurons. And as audience members in a theater, we are experiencing this. Wendy Mogul continues, this is what we've been deprived of for so long during the quarantine, to experience watching a musical and even more performing in a musical. When we imagine together, when we collectively immerse ourselves in the same story, we form community. Children use play to cultivate social intelligence. Put more simply, they use play to create community. And we do the same. Playing make-believe with a classmate or friend teaches kids how to read social cues, recognize and regulate emotions, and negotiate and take turns. The same is true for adults. When we worship together, when we share the same narrative, it can have profound effects on our lives. We are connecting with one another, and it has been so missed. This is what we are doing tonight and throughout these high holy days when we gather in this very sanctuary. We are watching the musical and we are performing in it. We each play a part, and we need our entire congregation to be complete. Hayom Harat Olam. This is the day of the world's birth. This day, all creatures stand before you. There are Jews who believe, and there are Jews who don't believe. But I think most of us are Jews who make believe. Abraham Joshua Heschel famously stressed that we achieve Judaism not through a leap of faith, but through a leap of action. And yet, in these days of awe, we are asked to take a leap of faith, to make believe, to pretend, because pretending can lead to action. It can make us better people, and it can make the world a better place. This High Holy Day season, suspend disbelief and let's play together. Let's make believe that Hayom Harat Olam, this is the day of the world's birth. This day, all creatures stand before you. So happy birthday, world, and happy birthday, Foxy. Shana Tova.
We continue on page 83 and then page 84. Please rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד ארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגופי מרומים, ואלוהינו אין עוד. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. Birth is a beginning and death a destination, but life is a journey from childhood to maturity and youth to age, from innocence to awareness, and ignorance to knowing, from foolishness to discretion, and then perhaps to wisdom, from weakness to strength, or strength to weakness, and often back again, from health to sickness, and back, we pray, to health again, from offense to forgiveness, from loneliness to love, from joy to gratitude, from pain to compassion, and grief to understanding, from fear to faith, from defeat to defeat to defeat, until looking backward or ahead, we see that victory lies not at some high place along the way, but in having made the journey, stage by stage, a sacred pilgrimage. Birth is a beginning and death a destination, but life is a journey, a sacred pilgrimage made stage by stage, from birth to death to life everlasting. This week, our congregation observes yahrzeit for the following people on whose shoulders we stand: Bella Allen, Lillian Young Auspitz, Francis Asher Ball, Doris Beifeld, Joseph Bell, Louis R. Berkowitz, Shirley Bloom, Sophie Blumenthal, Lillian Brandis, Benjamin Brind, Erwin F. Broad, Alexander Brodsky, Harry Buckbinder, Bart Cohen, Elsie G. Cooper, Vita Cowan, Norman Deitch, Bessie Diamond, Jacob S. Dreyfus, Erwin Ehrlich, Mildred Cohn-Elman, Anna Feld, Dora Fink, Morris Fishback, Earl Fleissig, Victor H. Frank, Louis E. Friedenberg, Andrew Lee Friedberg, Joel Gershman, Sarah Cohen Goldberg, Selma T. Goldie, Ethel Gordon, Anthony Robert Gross, Simon Gruenberg, Louis Halpern, Florence Hirschman, Eileen Hurwitz, Esther A. Jacobs, Pauline R. Jacobs, Jesse Cagle, Louis Kellum, Joseph S. Kleinbard, Henry Kogan, Paul Kolber, Julio Kostianowski, Robert J. Lempert, Jacqueline Levinton, Samuel Jacob Levitt, Bertha Jamison Levy, Janet Loeb, Carrie K. Lauchheim, Eva Lowenstein, William J. Luria, Marilyn Goldsmith McDuffie, Philip S. Malikson, Robert Mazel, Caroline Seidenbach Miller, Mary Fairworth Needleman, Maurice Osser, Helen D. Pasternak, Elsie Surfer Polikoff, Beatrice B. Reinstrom, Corinne A. Ribicoff, David Richter, Edgar S. Roll, Philip H. Rose, Sylvia Moss Rosenberg, Robert Rosengard, Joseph Rosenthal, Louise Beatrice Sanders, Olga Schulman, Rebecca K. Surfer, Sadie Siroti, Sarah Baram Scheinfeld, Henry Simpson, Helen Snyder, Solomon Salas Cohen II, Irene Salmonson, Lillian Solomon, Henry Spiegel, Celia F. Stein, Rose Sternberg, Rosalind Strober, Felix Strauss, Rosemary J. Sweeney, Harry H. Titleman, Aaron Teller, Lena Title, Sophie Troutman, Mildred C. Weschler, Elsie Weiss, Grace Rice Wolf, Fanny Wolf, Herbert L. Worth, Joseph Wotiz. We add the names of those who have been taken from our midst, but not from our hearts, in these most recent days for whom we observe Shloshim. Stanford Gross, Eileen Pardes, Thelma Rubin, Robert Phil Schmidt, William H. Simon, Joel Winnetz. And if you are observing Yahrzeit or Shloshim for a loved one whose name I did not call, please feel free to add that name to the comments or speak it aloud now. We honor their memories as we turn to page 90 and rise for the mourner's Kaddish. Yit gadal v'yit kadash shemei rabbah, ve'alma zevarachu te v'yamlich malchute, v'chayechon uvyomechon u'chaye d'chol beit Yisrael, v'agala u'bizman kari v'imru amen. Yehe shemei rabbah mevarach le'olam olmei almaya, yit barach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitala v'yitalal shemei d'kudashah b'richu. La'ela ula'ela michol berachata v'shirata shushbechata v'nechamata ta'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'el kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'el kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the source of peace bestow peace on all who mourn, and may we be a source of comfort for all who are bereaved. And together we say, Amen.
Ose shalom bimromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imelu. Amen.
Turning to page 94, we join our voices together in Adon Olam.
Adon olam Hashem malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra le'et nasa b'cherzono azai melech shemo nikra ve'acharei kiklot hakol levado imloch nora ve'hu haya
World War II resistance fighter and poet Chana Senesh wrote these words: "A hora, roaring, tempestuous, blazes around me with the mystery of rhythm, gladdening and forging. It tugs at my body and heart. The foot marches, the back quivers. The song is ignited, a searing chorus, dance and song, a wordless prayer. Hail to the future, hail to creation.
Yivarechecha ani Yonai ve'yishmerecha. Yaher Adonai panav eilecha v'chuneka.
Wishing you sweetness in this new year. L'shana tova.
Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Koleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chatanu lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, Chamol aleinu, ve'alol aleinu, ve'tapeinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Kale tever, ve'cherev ve'rav, me'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Kale chol tzar, u'mastin me'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu.
To all of our guests, we are so glad to embrace you into our sacred community. We are proud to be able to invest in this open tent and to provide open access to all, because we believe we are responsible to the greater community and to the future of the Jewish people. If you are in a position to support Congregation Rosh Shalom with a financial contribution, we would be so grateful. And we invite all who are looking to deepen your relationship with us, to connect with our community. L'Shana Tova.
Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Koleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chatanu lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, Chamol aleinu, ve'alol aleinu, ve'tapeinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Kale tever, ve'cherev ve'rav, me'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Kale chol tzar, u'mastin me'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, kotveinu besefer chaim tovim. Avinu Malkeinu, Chodesh aleinu, Chodesh aleinu, Shana Tova. Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Koleinu, Shema Koleinu, Shema Koleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Koleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chatanu lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, Chamol aleinu, ve'alol aleinu, ve'tapeinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Kali Tevel, Vecherev Verav, Me'aleinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Kali Chol Tzar, Umastin, Me'aleinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Kotveinu, Besefer